Hello and welcome everyone to another live stream. My name is Harsh. You are watching Esports and Information. Let's see what the world has today for us. Actually, it's quite a hectic day for me ahead today, and I woke up slightly late. So, my research for information for today is a little bit rusty. So, I might miss out on some of the important information that should have been covered but could not be covered because I woke up late. Okay, so I'm going to start off again, and as obviously with some of the national news. Yes, the continued militancy and extremism in the state of Jammu and Kashmir has been a consistent and a constant struggle for the armed forces as well. There are three places broadly in the state of Jammu and Kashmir that have been attacked. One of them is Kathua, Doda, and another one was Riasi, where there was a pilgrim bus that was attacked. So yes, militancy still continues till date in the state of JNK. One of the terrorists has been neutralized. That is a fancy way of saying that the armed forces killed him. And yeah, that is all that is going on in the state of JNK. Next up is so the soldiers from the army are celebrating our victory over Pakistan in the Kargil War of 1999 by undertaking a motorcycle expedition all across the country. So these are soldiers of the army, soldiers of the National Armed Forces. They are undertaking a motorcycle soldiers who fought in the Kargil War. Okay. The Prime Minister, that is Mr. Modi, is supposed to leave today for Italy. That is a G7 summit over. Italy is hosting a G7 summit from today onwards. And although we are not the members of G7 group, but we have been invited to attend the G7 group. So we have also covered this quite extensively in our previous live streams. But for those of you who don't know, G7 is a group of countries that are more or less aligned towards the Western way of governing things, and more specifically, United States. Okay, so these are all democracies, wealthy democracies that tiptoe the line of United States, and yeah. So broadly, the agenda for G7 summit this time around is going to be how to check Russian efforts and Russian dominance on the Russia-Ukraine bordering areas, and another one is how to counter China's industrial overcapacity. So these are the two broad objectives that brings together all the G7 countries. Okay. Next up is Haryana government simplified marriage registration process. Oh yes. Now earlier, what was the case was there was a single designated officer that used to function as a marriage registrar, and it usually used to be somebody in the state civil service. Okay, so magistrate, tehsildar, and now what the Haryana government has done is it has designated multiple authorities as marriage registrars. So now you'll have multiple options to go to people for registering your marriage. Earlier, it was only Tehsildar had the authority to register marriages at the rural level. So now at the rural level, there are two, three, four, five, and six. So earlier at the rural level, there was only one registrar for marriage. Now at the rural level, there are six. And the same is for urban areas as well. There are multiple marriage registrars. So the government of Haryana is making easier for people to register their marriages. Okay. Now keep in mind uh, earlier this month or in the previous month, I'm not exactly sure, but Supreme Court came out with this diktat that you cannot simply just use a legal marriage certificate as a proof that you guys are married. Or you have to undertake the entire elaborate ceremony of marriage according to the Vedic rituals to qualify it as a marriage. Simply just legally registering it wouldn't make it a marriage. Yes, the government of Haryana is moving forward with these changes, and let's see how these changes work. Next up is a joke. The joke for the day is Pakistan Human Rights Commission raises alarms on human rights and law enforcement in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. So, for those of you who don't know, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is a province in the border areas of Afghanistan and Pakistan. So, Afghanistan lies to the north of Pakistan. So, every country has a National Human Rights Commission. Pakistan also has a National Human Rights Commission, but it has been in a long slumber sleep while the minority numbers in that country continues to drop day by day. And yeah, so suddenly it has again woken up from its sleep, and now they are raising alarms with respect to the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Okay, now, like the illegal migrants that we have from Bangladesh, Pakistan has a considerable population of Afghani migrants that have come into the territory of Pakistan illegally. Some of them legally, most of them illegally. And in the very recent past, it has also, in the recent past, it has uh, where is the exact figure? Yes, attempting to address the situation, Pakistan forcibly deported 1.5 million documented and zero point 0.7 million undocumented Afghan refugees and migrants from the province. Now, keep in mind, these are some countries that raise concerns at the international level about policies of Bharat to deport illegal immigrants. But when they do it, it's all okay. Okay, so this is just to bring out how Bharat is always held accountable to the highest standards, but the people who are holding her accountable to the highest standards, they get away with such measures. So I would say this idea of being a, an ideal utopian democracy, uh, we should not dream about being, you know to uh, to reach that level of democracy where no country in the entire world is pursuing that. All right, so yes, they have raised Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, they have raised this issue of Afghan refugees illegal. So yep. Next is, it's not exactly not exactly concerning, but an information that is worth knowing, because this could lead to some escalation. Okay, Russian warships en route to Cuba hold missile drills in Atlantic. Okay, now if you have been a student of history, you would be aware of the Cuban Missile Crisis during the late 1990s, and Cuba was the hotspot of that crisis. So keep in mind, Russia had planted some missiles on the island of Cuba, targeting United States during the Cuban Missile Crisis of the late 1990s. Now, again, the Russian warships, they will be conducting some drills, some military drills in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, this is a regular affair; it's not something new, but this comes in the backdrop of increased friction between US and Russia and US and China with that extension. So this is an informal language flexing of military power, letting the other party know what you guys are capable of. So that is what Moscow is doing. Um, yes, so it has a submarine named Kazan, a warship named Gorshkov. Okay, so they will be undertaking. Okay, although there have been statements by United States as well, and both US and Cuba as well, that these are not supposed to threaten anyone. This is just a normal routine thing that we do. Okay, okay, here is the United States does not see the move as threatening, but the US Navy will monitor the exercises, a US official told reporters last week. Okay, so they have definitely made it clear that they do not see this move as threatening. It's just that they will monitor these exercises. But we know, yes, what exactly is Russia trying to imply over here, that yes, we can reach the Atlantic with our naval prowess. Now, this is something that has that's very easy to see in the world politics. So, United States sanctions Hong Kong and UAE firms for dealing with Russian gold. So, this friction between United States and Russia on the issue of Ukraine has scaling new levels every single day. We see that some or the other move has been taken by United States to counter Russian dominance in Ukraine, and with G7 summit starting off from today, you will see that there will be some statements made by, especially by the leaders of US and France at the conclusion of G7 summit as to how they are going to deal with the alleged Russian problem in the European continent. So watch out the space for the G7 statements. So very recently, United States has put sanctions on some firms, some companies in Hong Kong and UAE that are dealing with Russian gold. Now, keep in mind, Russia is the second largest gold miner in the world after China. All right. So now there are many restrictions on Russia. It cannot trade in dollars. It cannot do this. It cannot do that. Thanks to the sanctions placed by United States, and so this all of this started in the year of 2014 when Russia took over the island peninsula of Crimea, and from that point forwards, there has been increasing putting up sanctions on Moscow. So from that, so what Russia does is it brings out creative ways to circumvent these sanctions, and so there is yet one more loophole that United States has plugged is you cannot even trade in Russian gold. So that was providing Russia with some liquidity while they were trading in gold with UAE and Hong Kong, but they have now also placed sanctions on this list. So, in a new sanction list, Washington sought to raise the pressure on Moscow over its war in Ukraine. Okay. Let me give you the exact names. Okay. The producer was Polyus. The statement added Washington sanctioned Polyus, the largest gold miner in Russia and world's number four. Okay. According to the statement, okay, a Polyus employee and his Hong Kong based associate engaged in a scheme whereby payments from the sale of Russian origin gold were converted into currency and cryptocurrencies through numerous UAE and Hong Kong based front companies. Okay, so what's happening is to circumvent the sanctions that the US has placed on Russia. So it's not allowed to use US dollars. It does not have liquid currency available at its disposal. So what Russia is doing is it is laundering its gold through various companies in UAE and Hong Kong. And now US has also plugged that loophole. So let's see what creative ways you know Russians come up with. All right. Now, to supplement the same, now US expands Russia sanctions target chips sent via China. Okay, now here is what happens. Majority of the trade or exports that come out of China, they do use some of the intellectual properties of US or other Western European countries in some or the other way. Okay, so what the United States has found out is the intellectual property of USA is being used in China to manufacture semiconductor chips. And these semiconductor chips are being sent to Russia, and Russia is using those semiconductor chips in some of its military weapons, such as missiles and other things. So now this also is a loophole that United States aims to plug through more sanctions. So now there are sanctions on China to not send these semiconductor chips to Russia. Let's see how these things work. Okay. So I'll read the exact thing. Read the exact statement. Hmm. Mm, where is it? Here. United States made chips and other technology have been found in a wide array of Russian equipment from drones to radios, missiles, and armored vehicles recovered from the battlefield, Ukrainian officials say. Okay, so there are wide range of measures being taken to compel Russia to stop all the hostilities on the conflicted areas on the borders of Ukraine and Russia. So let's see what fruits do these measures yield, and we'll find out soon enough. Okay, so yes, they are increasing their efforts to compel or strong arm Russia into stop its hostilities towards Ukraine. If you look at the map of Asia, and if you keep moving northwest from the state of Jammu Kashmir of Bharat, you will come across two countries that are Armenia and Azerbaijan. Both of them are land neighbors. It is a similar situation like North and South Korea. They both of them share a land boundary. So, so there is a pact in this part of the Asian subcontinent that we like to call it as Collective Security Treaty Organization. Okay, it is a military alliance on the lines of NATO. All right. Now, all these areas were part of USSR. Before it disintegrated. So obviously, Russia does have um, some legitimacy in claiming these areas as standing up to protect these areas and ensuring that there is peace and stability in these areas. So yes, these collective security treaty organization is headquartered in Moscow, and it is United States that is heading this alliance. So very recently, these two countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan, they fought a 40-day war. Okay, they fought a 40-day war, and what happened was, um, there is this area on the border known as Nagorno Karabakh. Okay, Nagorno Karabakh. It was earlier given to Armenia, but Azerbaijan, they made a U-turn, and that again it has taken back its area of Nagorno Karabakh, and it has soured this relationship between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And the Armenian president has made this statement that if this treaty, that is Collective Security Treaty Organization, if it was indeed the protector and upholder of the rights of its member nations, then why wasn't anything done? And it has also threatened and said that we are going to leave this um treaty. And we have seen that the new prime minister or the new leader of the Armenia is pretty much closer and is trying to cultivate closer links to United States and the European Union. So yes, we would see some foreign policy maneuvers in this part of the world to by Russia to try and convince Armenia to stay on its side and not move closer to the west. And let's see. Mm, yes. So let's see how do they solve this problem of Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is an entire topic for like a different topic for an entire video, because Armenia and Azerbaijan have a long history of hostilities towards each other. And yeah, what we're seeing right now is just an extension and manifestation of those misunderstandings. Next up is you know so what the West has realized is, when I say West, from this point forwards, do not confuse it with all the countries of the West. When I say West, I mean United States and all the developed countries of the Western Europe. So the this is what I mean when I say West. Okay, now they have they are of the opinion, and uh, um, they are increasingly convinced that there is a nexus between Russia and China to circumvent the sanctions that West is putting on Russia. So what it has done is it has also put China in its crosshairs. And to counter its mammoth industrial capacity, what it is doing now is the European Union has placed some tariffs on electronic vehicles that they are importing from China. Okay, so if you want the exact figures are: the European Commission has imposed extra duties of up to 38.1% on imported Chinese electric cars from July. Okay, so this is they are trying to again squeeze China out from the equation of Russia versus West, and yeah, they have indeed realized this, that it is China that is helping Russia survive and keep itself afloat through the sanctions. So unless and until they do something about China, those sanctions will not really have any tangible outcomes. Yes. Yeah. So European automakers are being challenged by influx of lower cost electronic vehicles from Chinese rivals. And this is a problem all across the world due to its mammoth industrial capacity. China has this unique ability of selling products as at lower costs compared to the destination country where it is exporting all these. So it runs the risk of shutting down its native companies. And we have seen multiple examples of this. And more specifically, if you look into the solar panel industry of the European Union, they did not pay much attention to cheap imports from China. And now, many of the solar panel manufacturing companies in Europe have been shut down. Why? Due to cheap imports available from China. So now, this time around with electronic vehicles, they are not willing to take any risks. So let's see what comes out of these sanctions and all these whole lot of measures that the West is hell bent on taking to hold Russia accountable for uh, you know, alleged war crimes that it is committing on Ukraine-Russia border. Next up is yes. So there is this thing I would really like to read it out for you to understand, and the moment you'll listen to it, it will start making sense to you. Mm, here, the growth of YouTube, the company's subscription streaming device, increases Google's prospects for living room dominance. Now, what do they mean by living room dominance? Is usually in a household, in their living room, you have a television. Okay. Now, increasingly and more so in the United States of America, people are preferring to watch YouTube over OTT platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, and even cable TV. So now YouTube is the first choice on the living room television, and this has united all the rivals that YouTube has, such as the other streaming platforms and cable televisions. They are urging, okay. So in a letter to Justice Department Chief Jonathan Cantor, the American this they demand progress in nine other groups about YouTube's growth as a competitor to cable and streaming devices and its pre-installation on smartphones and TVs. So whenever you buy a smartphone these days, YouTube is always obviously pre-installed, and in USA, even if you buy a new television, so the YouTube app is already pre-installed in that television. So I guess they are wary of YouTube overtaking a major chunk of live streaming industry, and they are seeking some sort of regulation and some sort of law that could, you know, that could compel YouTube to take, to concede some of the terrain available in the streaming device industry. And very recently, there were also some figures out. So in April, Alphabet reported YouTube quarterly ad revenue of more than $8 billion, so up 21% from the same period last year. So the YouTube industry is booming, and all the competitors or all the companies that stand to lose the most ground if YouTube succeeds even more. They have urged the Justice Department of United States to come up with some law or some sort of regulation to check YouTube's, you know, unhindered unhindered dominance in the live streaming market. So that's about it. All right, that was all for today. That's about it for today's live stream. You guys will see me in the next live stream. Thank you for watching.